Hello, my name is Sajin here, and I'm doing Team 17 Demo 3 for this week. For this week, we set up our proxy layer, we have our replication servers, we set up our two replication servers, as well as our replication database. So that hits the criteria of setting up three replicas. Currently, right now, we're looking at our high level architecture diagram. We don't have our fault tolerant system set up for our proxy layer if it crashes, as well as our database. Also, our synchronization isn't set up between these two. And our WebSockets will be replicated at a later time. Today, I'll be showing off our replicated servers, and how it works is our client will send a request to this proxy layer, and the proxy will take a look at the servers we have up and running, one, two, and three, and it'll send that request to whatever server can handle it, whichever has the least amount of users on it, and that server gets a request from our proxy layer, handles it, inputs whatever it needs to do, go into the database, and then it returns it to the proxy layer, and this updates the client. So that is how our application is running now. I can show off how we set up our replicated systems. First, we have our primary DB we set up here. This we can see is set up on port 5432. We can also see that our replicated database is set up as well. This is on a different port to avoid issues. This is on port 5433. Now, going on to our servers, we have our first server here on port 4000, our second server here, and our third server here. These are all running on have the same files, but they're running on a different port, all running on different ports to avoid conflicts and errors. For first server runs on 4000, second one runs on 4001, the third one runs on 4002. Now, if I compose our project, now it takes a second to build. We can wait for our servers to start running. Everything's getting built. And we can see that our servers are indeed running at different ports on our localhost, 4000, 4001, 4002. We can also see in our Docker, if we go to our Wildex application, that everything else is up and running. Our client's running, our database primary is running as well. Our replicated database is running, as well as our three servers. They all have this green light here, and we are good to run our application. Going back to Chrome, if we hit localhost, this will bring up our application page. And if we register real quick, just with some test email right here, name is test. Our email will be test@email.com. Password is test123. We can hit sign up. It it works. It works good. The red does our registration successfully. All our servers are running. We can log in real quick, and it brings us to our homepage of our application. Now I can show you our logs. We can see that the first server we had, uh, completed the first request. Our second server completed the second request. And to log in to our application, we can see that our server three was the one that ended up handling that request. Now I can show off that these actually work and they're actually replicated. If I go, and since our last server that handled the request was number three, I can go and kill server number three. We can see that it's been killed. We crashed it. And if we go back to our application, we hit refresh, we can see that it's still working perfectly fine. I can go through, hit everything, and it's good. If we go to our logs again, we can see that it's switching between API 2, our server 2, and our server 1, and each one is handling a request from our client. Now, since we saw that our first server handled the most recent request, I can go and kill that server as well, wait for it to get killed, crash this one, give it a second, and if we hit refresh on our application, give it a second to load real quick. It takes a second, realizes we can see that our application is still running, and our server 2 was the one to handle this request now. And we can go through, we can see that it still works. And if we go to our Docker again, we can see that both our first server and our second server are no longer running. They're both stopped. Our second server is running, and we can see in the background that our application is still running. So that is our video submission for demo 3. We had our servers replicated as well as our databases replicated. There's no synchronization between these, and the fault tolerant systems are set up, but we do have replication as I've shown you. Thank you. That's our demo 3 video.